Welcome today to the interview about Basel IV, discussing the challenges and impacts of Basel IV. With me today there is Martin Neisen, who is the Basel IV Initiative Leader of PwC. Welcome, Martin. In the current times, the financial crisis is still casting its shadows, but Basel III is still under the period of phasing in. But there's already some rumors with regard to Basel IV. Could you maybe give some short introduction to where and how the focus from Basel III has changed to Basel IV?
Yeah, thank you very much, Anne, and thank you very much for giving me today the opportunity to speak to you about this very important topic for banks, Basel IV. I think to define Basel IV and to describe what is the difference to Basel III, we have to go back to the basics and look to actually the formula on how to calculate capital requirements and capital ratios. There we have in the nominator, we have the regulatory capital, and in the denominator, we have the risk-weighted assets or the capital requirements for the types of risks. While Basel III was mostly focused on capital, like on the nominator of this formula, Basel IV is turning it completely around. Basel III had the focus on the definition, for example, of the capital instruments, the introduction of new deduction positions, we had the capital buffers, and last but not least, even the ratios itself were changed. Of course, we had also some other topics like the leverage ratio and the two liquidity ratios, but that's not fitting now to the comparison to Basel IV because it's something completely different. So what is Basel IV actually focused on? Basel IV is focused on changing the methods for the calculation of risk-weighted assets for all types of risk, no matter if we are talking about credit risk, market risk, or operational risk. And also it doesn't matter if we are talking about standardized approaches or if we are talking about internal model approaches. They will be all changed.
Thank you very much, Martin, for giving this overview to Basel IV. But could you maybe also go a little bit more into detail and explain what changes have to be expected to the individual risk types?
Yeah. Or maybe give me first one opportunity to say that actually Basel IV, the term, is not official. Yeah? When we talk to regulators, they always claim that Basel IV actually is not existing. Yeah. Nevertheless, we and also most of the banking industry refer to the recent publications of the Basel committees as Basel IV. It's simply easier than mention all these different papers. And that is also one important difference between Basel IV and Basel III, because we don't have one big publication, we have different publications for different topics. And the grade of finalization is also different depending on the risk type and depending on the approach that was proposed by the Basel Committee. For example, when we talk about credit risk, we have the standardized approach and the internal rating-based approach. The standardized approach, we have already a second consultation paper, so it's almost finalized, I would say. While for the internal rating-based approach, we have only one consultation paper, so we expect some bigger changes, of course. But there are also already some topics that are already finalized. When we talk about, for example, market risk, the big fundamental review of the trading book, it's finalized since January 2016, and we don't expect further changes there. Or when we talk about securitization or the SACCR, the new approach for the calculation of exposures for derivatives, these approaches are also already finalized. While for the CVA risk capital charge, we are in the first consultation stage, and for operational risk, we are in the second phase of consultation. So we have different degrees of finalization, and that is very important because possibly the dates when Basel IV comes into force will be different depending on the topic that we are talking about.
Okay, you also mentioned the operational risk. What is the status there?
Yeah. For operational risk, we are currently at the stage that we have seen two consultation papers. And from the first consultation paper to the second consultation paper, we saw quite big changes. And there are currently some rumors now in autumn 2016 that there will some additional minor changes. And we are expecting that the Basel Committee is publishing its final paper on operational risk in the coming weeks or maybe in the time of 1 or 2 months.
Okay, this sounds like a lot of changes that banks have to cover in the future. Could you maybe also give your opinion about which banks might maybe be most affected by Basel IV?
That is a question that most of our clients ask us when we are in workshops, or when we are meeting on conferences, when we are making speeches. And actually, it's impossible to answer that question, because one major goal of the Basel Committee was to make all these approaches more risk sensitive. That means actually, if banks have a risky portfolio, then the impact on their risk-weighted assets will be much bigger, while banks that have a low-risk portfolio even profit from the new regulations. I give you one quick example when we talk about credit risk, and there especially about the proposals for the IRB approach. In the future, it might be not allowed anymore for banks to use the advanced IRB approach, where you calculate all risk parameters on your own, to use that approach for specialized lendings. That means that banks that are highly focused on specialized lending will definitely have the problem that they have to move from the IRB approach to the standardized approach for their portfolios. And as a general rule, the risk weights in the standardized approach are much higher than in the advanced IRB approaches.
Okay, so but how should banks now proceed when they can study the new requirements, but how should they start a project, or what should they do at first?
I think one of the most important steps banks have to undertake right now is that they perform test calculations. I think that's really, really important, because as I mentioned, the proposals coming from the Basel Committee are much more risk sensitive. And based on the test calculations that we have performed with our clients, the output was very diverse. For example, in average, we calculated an increase of risk-weighted assets of 40%. Considering the latest rumors that are in the market right now, and there will be some bigger changes, we expect that the impact on risk-weighted assets in average will be between 25% and 30%. But as I mentioned before, when the approaches are much more risk sensitive, you have to analyze it individually for your institution. For example, in the standardized approach for credit risk, there in average we calculated an increase for risk-weighted assets between 15 and 20%. But we had some outlier banks that face an increase of their risk-weighted assets of more than 190%. So that's a huge increase. But on the other hand, we also were performing test calculations for our clients that profit from the new rules. They had even a decrease in their risk-weighted assets of 10%.
Okay, so I think you're referring to doing pre-studies within the banks. So what is the best point in time to start with a pre-study?
Oh, actually, the best point in time is right now, absolutely, even when some of the rules are still not finalized yet. But I think all these changes in the risk-weighted assets will cause very important strategic decisions. Because that's, again, a very important difference between Basel III and Basel IV. Basel III, it raised the capital requirements or the capital ratios in general. So all products were affected in the same way. But now, because of the risk sensitivity of the new approaches, some portfolios, some products will be affected more than others. And that, of course, leads to the situation that banks have to make important strategic decisions, like if they want to go on in that type of business, or if they want to change, for example, their whole business model. It could be also a possibility. And to make strategic decisions and see the effect of these decisions, it takes a long of time. For example, when we want to implement Basel IV, with a lot of effort, with a lot of sweat, blood and tears, I think you can implement it in half a year or even in 1 year, definitely. But to change your business model, that takes much longer. So even when we estimate that Basel IV comes into force in the end of 2019 or in the end of 2020, you have to make your decisions, your strategic decisions right now, for that they are effective and that you can actually see changes in maybe 2 or 3 years.
So to which further points should banks also pay attention to when organizing a Basel IV project, and in how far can maybe PwC support them?
I think it's very important for an institution when they take care about Basel IV right now that they go for a holistic approach, that they look to Basel IV as one big framework. It does not make much sense to concentrate only on market risk, like the fundamental review of the trading book, or to concentrate only on credit risk, standardized approach, or internal model-based approach, because all these new approaches are highly interconnected, yeah, and therefore you need a total overview what the effect on risk-weighted assets will be for your bank. So it's very important, from my point of view, to set up a project with different work streams that are taking care of course, these strategic implications, but also then going step by step to the standardized approaches, to the internal model approaches. There, maybe you have to distinguish also between the market risk internal models and the credit risk internal models, because they are very different. Yeah? But then, of course, also you have to take care of operational risk in a separate work stream. You might have to take care of the SACA approach in the special work stream, and so on and so forth.
So seems also be important for the strategic decisions you mentioned beforehand. Okay, when talking to the industry, many banks are also or tell about supporting tools. And how far can maybe tools be helpful during a pre-study or during a Basel IV project?
I think tools play actually a very important role in the Basel IV project, especially at this stage where you have to perform pre-studies or test calculations. And we were developing with our clients together a number of tools addressing all these new proposals from the Basel Committee. So no matter if we are talking about the new standardized approach for credit risk, about the SACA approach, operational risk, or even the fundamental review of the trading book, we have developed tools that we can use with our clients actually to perform these test calculations. And then, of course, we have the data that is the foundation for these important strategic decisions. And of course, also afterwards, when you are in the implementation phase, in the implementation projects, I think it's very important that you have still these tools in place to observe and to monitor how your risk-weighted assets are developing, considering the changes of Basel IV.
Before one can start a pre-study from your side and from the client side, one has to go into detail into the new requirements, into the new informations which come up maybe shortly. How are you and your colleagues able to keep updated to all of these new requirements and all the new informations which come up? And how can your clients also be keep updated?
Yeah. We as PwC, we identified Basel IV as a very important topic for banks and the whole financial sector even very early, like when there were the first consultation papers on FRTB in the year 2012. We directly have sent up a global Basel IV initiative that is taking care of all the challenges of our clients, because we want to support our clients. That's very, very important for us. And this Basel IV initiative has separate work streams, and we try to put ourselves into the shoes of our clients. That's how we have set up that initiative. So we have separate work streams for these strategic implications. We have also set up work streams for the standardized approaches, because they are very interconnected. We have work streams for the internal models approaches, both for credit risk and market risk. One important thing is also that there will be a lot of implications for processes, and especially in the front office systems. That's why we have set up a separate and important work stream that is taking care about all issues around markets and treasury. Because when you think about the changes in the risk-weighted assets for market risk or even for credit risk, the decision taker need to be informed about that, and they have to be informed in time. Just imagine a dealer, a trader that is going to go into one deal. He has maybe 10 seconds to think about if he's going into that deal or not. So very fast he needs the information about the future capital cost for his trade. So we need all this information not only in a regulatory reporting system and send it to the regulators, we also need it in the front office systems. The same also for credit approval process. We need to know now already what the future capital costs will be of a loan, of a credit that I grant to one customer. And apart from that, of course, the challenges for the IT will be also quite big. That's why we decided also to have a separate work stream on all these IT challenges of our clients, everything that is around data, everything that is around data quality, and also about the implementation of regulatory reporting software. And last but not least, I think Basel IV all proposals of Basel IV are much more complicated than what we have seen so far. So I think knowledge management is key, definitely. You have to bring the knowledge to the whole organization, to the whole bank, and therefore we decided also to set up a separate work stream for knowledge management, to bring this knowledge to our clients, but also this work stream you use to keep ourselves updated. Yeah? And for that we have set up different instruments. For example, we have set up Basel IV homepage. We have set up a Basel IV Academy, a very intense 2 days training course that we offer for our customers. We also have the regulatory toolbox. We have very comprehensive Basel IV book written that is published already in Germany and will be published in the next month also in English. And as far as I know, it's on a global level the first book that is covering Basel IV as a whole.
Okay, I also searched a little bit in the internet, and I looked to your webpage, and I think we have two examples here. You already mentioned the book and the toolbox, but I also saw something else. You also have the Basel IV channel. Can you maybe describe what this is?
Yeah, when we have set up the Basel IV initiative, we thought, okay, how can we keep our clients updated? Yeah. And of course, the first thought we had is we send out a newsletter by post or by email. But very quickly we decided we don't want to go the usual way. We want to inform our clients a little bit more interactive. So we decided to set up the YouTube channel on Basel IV and also conducting so-called webinars on Basel IV. And that is a kind of multimedia newsletter. And every 4 weeks now we invite our clients to participate in these webinars, and there we will give the latest information and also detailed information about Basel IV. And afterwards we record these webinars and post them on YouTube so that all of our clients can watch them whenever they want, in the weekend, in the evening, whenever they like.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this gave a very good overview to all the material PwC is offering to their clients when getting compliant with Basel IV. So thank you very much, Martin.
Yeah, Anne, thank you very much for giving me today the opportunity to speak about Basel IV. Thanks.
Okay, and thank you as well for listening to our interview, and please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any further questions. Goodbye.